Back in the 60s, Detroit had one mission: build cars that ruled the street and the strip. No safety regulations, no computers, just raw cubic inches and enough horsepower to terrify insurance companies. Fast forward to today, and these muscle machines have become million-dollar legends. So if you ever wondered which classics went from showroom bargains to collector gold mines, buckle up. Today we're counting down 10 muscle cars from the 1960s that were so overbuilt, they're worth a fortune now. Wait till you hear what some of these beasts fetch today. You'll wish you had a time machine and a garage big enough for all of them. Number 10, 1968 AMC AMX 390. Who'd have thought the company behind Sensible Family Wagons would take on Corvette? In 1968, AMC dropped the AMX, a two-seater rocket stuffed with a 390 cubic inch V8, pushing 315 horsepower. Weighing just 3,000 pounds, it blasted from 0 to 60 in 6.6 seconds. Legit supercar pace back then. And it looked the part too, with flared fenders and a menacing stance. Only about 6,700 were built in 3 years, making it a rare find today. Back then, you could snag one for $3,200. Today, a well-kept AMX can pull anywhere from $30,000 to $75,000, with pristine ones creeping towards 6 figures. Not bad for an underdog that once set over 100 speed records and showed the big boys that AMC meant business. If you see one at a show, snap a picture. This oddball is proof that sometimes the little guy builds the biggest surprises. Number 9, 1967 Chevrolet Corvette L88 427. Say L88 to any Corvette fan and watch their eyes light up. The 1967 Corvette L88 was peak Stingray, a gorgeous body hiding a monster under the hood. Officially, Chevy rated the big block 427 at 430 horsepower. Unofficially, try north of 500 horses. Easy. This thing ran on 103 octane, had a 12.5 to 1 compression ratio, and sounded like a race car because it basically was. Chevy didn't want regular buyers getting their hands on it. They even priced the L88 package high to scare off casual shoppers. Only 20 were sold in 67, making it one of the rarest Vettas ever. Back then, it'd run you about $5,700, a fortune in 1967. Today, good luck. One L88 recently crossed the block for $3.85 million. Even a regular 1967 42.7 Corvette commands 6 figures. The L88 wasn't about comfort or daily driving. It was about raw speed and bragging rights at the drag strip. In an era when everyone claimed big numbers, the L88 delivered, leaving melted tires and empty gas tanks in its wake. Legends don't come cheap, and this one's a legend with a capital. Number 8, 1968 Shelby GT500 KR stood for King of the Road, and the 1968 Shelby GT500 KR earned that crown. Ford and Carroll Shelby needed a showcase for their new 428 Cobra Jet V8, and this was it. Officially, the KR made 335 horsepower, but everyone knew it was cranking out well over 400. The GT500 KR wasn't just about brute force though. It had a fiberglass hood and trunk to keep weight down, plus suspension upgrades that made it surprisingly civilized. Well, as civilized as a street-legal drag car could be. Inside, it was all wood trim and Stewart Warner gauges, giving you a taste of luxury with your tire smoke. Back then, a KR cost just under $5,000, double the price of a base Mustang. But you were buying more than a Mustang. You were buying Shelby's signature on 4 wheels. Today, a clean GT 500 KR commands anywhere from $150,000 to $400,000. Rare convertibles, low-mile survivors, $500,000 easy. Only about 1,570 were built, so every KR still alive is a rolling slice of American muscle royalty. Fast, rare, and still ready to rumble. That's what makes the King of the Road still wear the crown. Number 7, 1970 Plymouth Superbird 426. HEMI picture a cartoon car designed by NASA. That's the 1970 Plymouth Superbird. Built to dominate NASCAR and win back Richard Petty, the Superbird was basically a road runner with a nose cone and a wing taller than your neighbor's kids. Under that pointy snout? If you were lucky, you had the legendary 426 HEMI, a 425 horsepower elephant motor that sounded like thunder on wheels. The Superbird was good for 13.5 second quarter miles. Insane for a street car back then. Problem was, insurance companies hated it, and so did suburban garages. That nose made parking a nightmare. Dealers couldn't sell them, so some got de-winged and turned back into normal road runners. Now, different story. Back in 1970, a HEMI Superbird would run run you about $5,000. Today, a clean one pulls anywhere from $600,000 to over $1.5 million. Only 135 got the HEMI, so finding one now is like spotting Bigfoot at your local cruise night. Wild looks, racing pedigree, and legendary speed. The Superbird is pure muscle car insanity with a wing that still turns heads half a century later. Number 6, 1967 Ford GT40 Mark III. Most muscle cars ruled the drag strip. The GT40 ruled Le Mans and your dreams. Born from Ford's grudge match with Ferrari, the GT40 Mark III was the street version of the car that humiliated Enzo 4 years straight. Only 7 were ever built. That's rarer than rare. The Mark III swapped the brutal race suspension for something you could survive potholes with, but make no mistake, this was still a 300 horsepower, 289 V8 crammed into a 2,200-pound bullet. It sat just 40 inches off the ground, hence GT40, so your eyeballs lined up with truck bumpers at red lights. Original price, $18,000. That was supercar money in 1967. 3 Corvettes for the price of 1 GT40. But what you got was priceless. A road-legal Ferrari killer with a snarling American V8. Today, if you find one, good luck. You'll need upwards of $5 million just to start the conversation. The GT40 Mark III is a reminder that sometimes revenge really is the best fuel for greatness. Number 5, 1969 Dodge Charger Daytona HEMI. Before the Superbird came the wilder, meaner brother, the 1969 Dodge Charger Daytona. This thing looked like it belonged on the moon, not Main Street. A needle nose cone, a towering rear wing, and curves that screamed 200 miles per hour. It was designed for one mission: break NASCAR's speed record. Mission accomplished. Buddy Baker cracked 200 miles per hour at Talladega in a Daytona, the first stock car to ever do it. Street versions were built only to meet NASCAR's rules. Just over 500 made it out the factory door, and only 70 had the legendary 426 HEMI under the hood. That meant 425 horses and a quarter mile in 13.5 seconds, all while looking like a Hot Wheels on steroids. In 1969, a Daytona HEMI cost about $4,700. Today, you're looking at $3.3 million for a mint HEMI car, if you can find one. They're rarer than a quiet HEMI at idle. Outrageous looks, insane speed, pure NASCAR DNA. The Daytona wasn't just a muscle car, it was a rolling middle finger to aerodynamics and subtlety. Number 4, 1968 Dodge Charger RT 426 HEMI. If you know the movie Bullet, you know the black Charger that nearly stole the show from McQueen's Mustang. That was the 440 version, but the real monster was the HEMI-powered 1968 Charger RT. Picture this: the sleekest muscle car design of the 60s. Coke bottle lines, hidden headlights, that iconic flying buttress rear window, with a 425 horsepower NASCAR-bred 426 HEMI up front. It was beautiful and brutal. The HEMI cost an extra $648, pushing the total price past $4,100. Real money back then. Most buyers went for the 440 instead, which was plenty fast. That's why only 475 HEMIs hit the streets in 68 out of almost 100,000 Chargers sold. Quarter mile, mid-13s easy. But the legend is bigger than numbers. Today, a real deal HEMI Charger RT can pull $200,000 to $300,000 at auction. The really clean ones, even more. This is the car every kid had on their bedroom wall. The perfect mix of style, muscle, and menace. More than 50 years later, the Charger HEMI still turns heads and melts tires. Number 3, 1963 Shelby Cobra 260/289. Carroll Shelby's plan was devilishly simple. Take a tiny British roadster and cram a thumping American V8 under the hood. The result? The Shelby Cobra. The rawest, wildest ride of the 60s. Early Cobras got a 260 cubic inch Ford V8 making 260 horsepower in a car that weighed just 2,100 pounds soaking wet. That alone made it a rocket. But Shelby, never one to settle, quickly upgraded to the 289. Now you had 271 horsepower, and the competition version squeezed out well over 300. For the era, this was warp speed. Quarter mile times dipped into the high 13s, but the magic was in the corners. Independent suspension and razor sharp handling made it a Ferrari nightmare. Back then, a Cobra cost about $6,000. Serious coin when a new Corvette was similar money but far tamer. Only about 75 of the original 260s were built before the switch switched to the 289, and total small block Cobra production, just 650 cars. Today, a real Cobra is $1 million legend. At every car show, the Cobra is the crowd magnet, the perfect symbol of American muscle, British finesse, and Shelby's unfiltered genius. Number 2, 1969, Chevrolet Camaro ZL1. The Camaro ZL1 shouldn't have existed, but thank a few clever dealers for bending GM's rules. The ZL1 was a loophole on wheels, an all-aluminum 427 cubic inch monster meant for Can-Am racing slipped under the Camaro's hood. Chevrolet lowballed the horsepower at 430. In truth, it made closer to 550 horses in a 3,300-pound car with a warranty. The ZL1 option alone cost more than the car itself. $4,160 for the engine on a Camaro base price of $2,700. Fully loaded, a ZL1 stickered north of $7,200. Cadillac money in 69. Only 69 were ever built. That means this street-legal dragster was rarer than a polite burnout. Quarter-mile times, low 13s out of the box, high 11s with slicks, and a brave right foot. The ZL1 didn't just outrun other muscle cars, it embarrassed them. Today, any surviving ZL1 is the crown jewel of Camaro collectors. Prices push past $1 million when a good one hits the block. It's the ultimate what if from the muscle car wars, a factory experiment that became legend. Number 1, 1969 Plymouth Roadrunner. A 12 simple, savage, and unstoppable. That's the 1969 Roadrunner, a 12. No fancy stripes, no delicate chrome, no coddling. Just a stripped-down Plymouth coupe with a single mission: own the quarter mile. The secret? The legendary 446 pack, 3 two-barrel carbs feeding a beast, making 390 horsepower and enough torque to launch a small moon. Everything about the A12 was built for speed. Lift-off fiberglass hood with a giant scoop, heavy-duty internals, Hurst shifter, 4.10 rear gears. The result? 13 flat quarter miles, box stock. That made it faster than HEMIs, faster than big block Chevys, faster than just about anything you could roll off a dealer lot in 69. Best part? It was cheap, $3,500 out the door, thousands less than a HEMI car. Plymouth built 1,432 A12s and sold every single one to people who didn't care about creature comforts, just 1 quarter mile times. Today, the A12 is finally getting its flowers. The best examples bring up to $400,000. The Roadrunner. A 12 wasn't just a muscle car, but it was Detroit's middle finger to insurance companies, emissions, and common sense. It was the people's dragster, and it still rules the strip 50 years later. And there it is, 10 muscle cars from the 60s that turned gas into thunder and made legends out of metal and gasoline. Which one would you sell your soul to park in your garage? Drop your dream pick in the comments, smash that like button if you love classic muscle, and don't forget to subscribe. We're just getting started on this ride through automotive history.